Chasing the campus heartthrob. I was on a video call with my childhood best friend Wes. While we played an online game together, he stepped away to use the bathroom and accidentally bumped the webcam switch. That's when I saw him, his ridiculously attractive roommate. Fresh out of the shower, no shirt, water droplets trailing down from his collarbone, steam still curling off his skin in the yellow dorm light. That body, I swallowed so loud that he heard me. He walked over and immediately switched off the camera. But not before leaving me with one casual remark. Like what you see? Come to room F222. I'll give you a better look. I sent Wes a barrage of texts. We've known each other for 17 years. I've never asked you for anything. Just this once. Please, help me out. Send me your hot roommate's number, please. He replied instantly. Wait, how do you even know I have a new roommate? Just now. Your camera was on. A long pause. I could practically hear him sighing through the screen. A few seconds later, he forwarded me a contact, along with a message. Wipe the drool off your face, and when you go after him, don't tell him you know me. He was gorgeous, and even his profile picture was gorgeous. Fine, it was just a solid black square, but still, gorgeous energy. I studied his contact card obsessively. His display name was just a period. Black profile picture, no bio, and he never accepted my friend request. I messaged Wes again. Your roommate won't add me. He said, you look sketchy, something about you staring at him and swallowing. I had no words. The audacity. The absolute nerve. Slander. Absolute slander. Eventually, I did get him to add me. I bribed Wes with $20. Wes then bribed him with $5. The middleman made $15 profit. But still victory. Through Wes, I learned that the hot roommate's name was Jay Sullivan, computer science major, sophomore, and he just switched from commuting to living on campus. Why'd he start living on campus, I asked. Family stuff, Wes said. Don't ask him about it. The way he said it made me pause, but I filed it away and sent Jace a cute bear emoji sticker. He didn't respond. Hours passed. The sun was setting, casting long shadows across my dorm room floor. Still nothing. So I racked my brain for conversation starters. Hey, I'm Wes's friend. My name's Skyler. I go to the school right next to yours. Also a sophomore. This is my cat, Whiskers. He's named Whiskers because he has really long whiskers. I cringed at my own messages. God, I sounded like an idiot. 20 minutes passed. Still nothing. I was getting anxious. My thumb slipped and I accidentally hit the video call button. He answered immediately. What? Deep voice. Magnetic. A hint of irritation. I hit the wrong button. I wanted to cry. I didn't want to crash and burn this fast. He let out a cold laugh. If you've got time to spare, maybe spend it finishing that homework you posted about on your Instagram story. I blinked. Speechless. He looked at my social media. My posts were all memes and chaotic energy. Great. Just great. Sky, why are you at my school? Wes rested his chin on his hand, clearly already knowing the answer. The philosophy lecture hall smelled like old wood and dry erase markers. I told him to cut the small talk. Which classroom does Jace have class in? He raised an eyebrow but said nothing. I picked up my book to playfully threaten him, but then I felt someone standing behind me. The temperature in the room seemed to drop. This was my first time seeing Jace in person. Taller than I imagined. More aloof, too. Sharp cheekbones, defined features. That same hint of impatience in his gaze, but up close, I noticed something else, a weariness around his eyes, like someone who hadn't slept well in a long time. He'd never seen my face, so he probably didn't recognize me. Move. Deep, cool voice. I moved, but only a little. Because in this old lecture hall with individual desks and chairs, the wooden seats creaking with every shift, if he wanted to get through, he'd have to squeeze past me. He stood there, staring me down. Move up a little more. Oops. Can't. No room. There was plenty of room in front of me. After a pause, he raised an eyebrow. He dropped a book on my head, blocking my view. Skyler, how much do you weigh that you can't even make a little space? My jaw dropped. How did he know it was me? 6. That traitor Wes had shown Jace my picture beforehand. Currently, Wes was laughing so hard he couldn't breathe. I rested my chin on my hand, unamused. But the silver lining was that since Jace couldn't squeeze past, he grabbed a chair and sat down beside me. The desk was cramped, and his arm brushed mine as he settled in. These old classroom chairs didn't seem big enough for his long legs. When he noticed me staring, he poked my forehead with his pen. Look away. Why, you embarrassed? Whatever he wanted me to do, I'd do the opposite. So he suddenly leaned in close, his face inches from mine. Am I really that good looking? You have to keep staring? I had no comeback. Him getting that close startled me. Satisfied, he raised an eyebrow and pulled back. The philosophy professor was an elderly man whose lectures had a natural sedative effect. Wes was already working on his own assignments. Meanwhile, Jace was actually paying attention, taking notes in neat, precise handwriting. I borrowed a piece of paper from Wes and drew a pig on it. I quietly slid it toward Jace. He glanced at it for a second, then wrote 2 words and slid it back. Boring. After class, I managed to walk with him across the quad. The autumn leaves crunched under our feet. Jace, why'd you move on campus? His jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. None of your business. Wes said something about family stuff. He stopped walking. When he turned to look at me, something flickered in his eyes. Something sharp and cold. Don't. Just 1 word, but it carried enough weight to make me stop. Sorry, I said quickly. I won't ask again. He studied me for a moment, like he was deciding whether to believe me. Then he kept walking, but I noticed his hands had clenched into fists at his sides. Why are you here? The guy beside me had his arms crossed, looking at me. The dining hall buzzed with conversation around us, trays clattering and the smell of fried food heavy in the air. I'm here to eat. You're eating, fine, but why do I have to pay for your meal? I could tell he was almost amused, despite himself. Because this is your school's dining hall. Jace, be a gentleman and don't be so stingy. I patted his shoulder and pulled him toward a window seat. He scowled, but I got the feeling if there were more open tables, he would have just walked away. Jace, can I ask you to hang out tomorrow? I'll be getting both legs amputated tomorrow. He was eating elegantly, picking fish bones out with precision, his fingers moving with careful, practiced efficiency. Trying to shut me down in 1 sentence, I gritted my teeth. Not giving up. I can push your wheelchair. He finally looked up. Those dark eyes revealed nothing. I'm getting my upper body amputated. I stared at him for a beat, then burst out laughing. That doesn't even make sense. Something shifted in his expression. Not quite a smile, but close. Neither does following someone around like a lost puppy. I prefer determined. I prefer delusional. But he didn't get up and leave, and that felt like progress. I'd never chased anyone before. Jace might be my first and my last. Pursuing him was incredibly hard. He was completely impervious to everything, resistant to flattery, immune to guilt trips, unaffected by my endless attempts to impress him. He'd mastered the art of treating me like I was invisible. I started showing up at his campus so often that his classmates began recognizing me. Apparently, they'd even started a betting pool on whether I could get him to date me. The odds against me were ridiculously high. Meanwhile, Wes kept manufacturing opportunities for us. I thought he'd finally grown a conscience, but it turned out he'd bet $300 on my success. Please, you have to make this happen. If you 2 get together, my meal budget for the whole semester is covered. I rolled my eyes. Some best friend he was. I wanted to win him over too, but he wouldn't even acknowledge my existence. One afternoon, I convinced Wes to let me help him and Jace with their coding project. You don't even know how to code, Wes pointed out. I can learn. Teach me. Jace looked up from his laptop, his expression skeptical. The computer lab hummed with the white noise of dozens of machines. Do you know what a variable is? Something that varies? He let out a short laugh, genuine, not mocking. It transformed his whole face. Close enough, come here. I pulled my chair next to his, close enough that our shoulders almost touched. The screen glowed blue in the dim lab, and I could smell his shampoo, something clean and slightly woody. He spent the next hour patiently explaining basic Python to me. His voice was different when he taught softer, less guarded. His long fingers moved across the keyboard with practiced ease. At some point, Wes gave me a thumbs up behind Jace's back. Progress. After class one day, I followed him as usual. Jace, what are you having for lunch? Jace, why won't you accept my Venmo for yesterday's meal? Jace, are you training for the campus track meet? You walk so fast. I didn't know if he was training, but at the rate I was following him, I might not need to. Because I was too focused on keeping up, I didn't notice the steps. I missed one, and my knee slammed into the concrete. The rough texture scraped through my jeans instantly. The burning sensation of skin scraping against gravel jolted through my whole body. I looked down. A huge patch of skin was torn off, blood already seeping out, bright red against the gray stone. I thought he'd just keep walking, but when I looked up, he was standing right in front of me, silent. And that's when I burst into tears. Not because I'm a good actress, it genuinely hurt like heck. And seeing him standing there, not offering any help, just made it worse. My crying seemed to irritate him. He reached out his hand. I grabbed it. His palm was warm and calloused, tried to stand, but the pain in my knee almost made me collapse again. Finally upright, I was leaning almost entirely on him. He sighed. Sorry, Jace, this is my fault. I wasn't watching where I was going. I'm so sorry. Before I could finish, the world spun. He'd swept me up into his arms. Princess Carrie. It's fine, stop talking. I'm taking you to the health center. That definitely wasn't a comforting tone. It was more of a, please don't cause me any more trouble tone. Him carrying me like this was definitely going to turn heads. I pretended to protest, but my arms wrapped tighter around his neck. Jace, now everyone's gonna think I'm your girlfriend. From this angle, his jawline was sharper than my life plans. What do you mean? You carrying me like this, people will make assumptions. Want me to put you down right now? Seeing him actually start to lower me, I clung to his neck tighter. I heard a satisfied little laugh escape him. Unfortunately, we arrived to find the health center empty. After staring at the vacant room for about 5 minutes, he let out a resigned sigh. The antiseptic and cotton swabs were in an obvious spot, at least. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. I sat on the exam table, the paper crinkling beneath me, watching him crouch in front of me. Since the wound was on my knee, I tugged my skirt up a bit. Will it hurt? It's just antiseptic. It won't hurt. Be gentle. I already told you it won't hurt. Liar. There was dirt in the wound, so he had to clean deep. I bit my lip and trembled, gripping the edge of the exam table. He looked up at me. Don't cry. Him saying that made it impossible to hold back. I saw him take a steadying breath, clearly trying to stay calm, and his hands became gentler. His touch was careful now, almost tender. I knew the wound looked pretty bad, even worse now that it was cleaned up. And not pretty. He glanced at me, like he could tell what I was thinking. No pants or long socks. Keep the wound dry. No shower today, at least. What? What do you mean what? Can I ask you to take responsibility for this? I said it casually, flirting came naturally to me around him. He'd definitely refuse. But to my surprise, he was quiet for a moment. Until your wound heals, I'll take responsibility. Happy now? My eyes went wide. Jace, you're totally in love with me. You've been playing hard to get, right? You're actually crazy about me. Hey, why are you walking away? Turns out, one should never tempt fate. Taking responsibility? Now Jace wouldn't even see me. Am I done for? At my lowest, most defeated, most hopeless moment, it was my best friend Wes who stepped up. You can't give up. He shook my shoulders frantically. My $300. I glared at him. Of course, that was his real motivation. Wes said that even though Jace was semi-ghosting him too, he would do everything in his power to help me. We snuck up to the window of the computer lab. The glass was cold against my palms. See that girl? She's been asking Jace for help a lot lately. Inside, Jace was alone, organizing spreadsheets for a professor. A girl was inching closer to him, clearly nervous, probably about to ask him something. She was asking a question. I was too far away to hear. Jace looked like he had "Leave me alone" written all over his face. He treats other girls even worse than he treats me. See? You still have a shot. Wes patted my shoulder. I signaled I'm going in and straightened my collar before stepping inside. The second Jace saw me, his expression flickered with something strange. Then he smiled. At the other girl, a dazzling smile. Even though it was obviously forced, that face could make any expression look incredible. The same guy who'd looked completely unapproachable 2 seconds ago was now patiently explaining something to her, deliberately ignoring my existence. He was definitely avoiding me. I slumped in a chair and listened to Jace help the girl with her entire assignment. She seemed like she wanted to invite him to lunch or something, but with me there, she didn't have the nerve. See? Being shameless has its perks. Once they said goodbye, I was still propping my chin in my hand, watching him. He sighed and met my gaze. Am I really that good looking? Yes. Why? This time, I saw genuine confusion in his eyes. Because I like you. I'd told him countless times over the past few days. His reactions ranged from calling me annoying to total silence. I wasn't a patient person, but with him, I'd become relentless. He looked down, neatening a stack of papers. Just when I expected another dismissal, he spoke. Your knee. How's it doing? It's okay. I wore a longer skirt so it wouldn't rub against the wound. Satisfied, Dr. Sullivan? He gave me a flat look but said nothing. I grinned and showed him the wound. It was starting to scab, which looked pretty gnarly. I hadn't planned to actually show him, but he crouched down right in front of me. He was close enough that his breath tickled the skin around my knee. He made a satisfied sound. Before I could come up with something flirty to say, he was already walking away. This guy. Even showing concern was awkward for him. Later that week, I overheard something I wasn't supposed to. I was looking for Jace near the engineering building when I heard voices around the corner. His voice, and another guy's. Sullivan, long time no see. The boys are asking when you're coming back. I'm not. Come on, don't be like that. We had a good thing going. And that girl who keeps following you around, some of the guys want to have a chat with her. My heart stopped. Touch her, and I'll break every bone in your body. Jace's voice had gone cold. Colder than I'd ever heard it. Relax, man. Just saying. But you know how it is. You can't just walk away from us. Watch me. Footsteps. I pressed myself against the wall, heart pounding. When I peeked around the corner, Jace was walking away, his shoulders tense. The other guy, tall, with a shaved head and a scar across his eyebrow, was watching him go with a smirk. I didn't move until they were both gone. What had Jace been involved in? Buy me lunch, Jace. Fine, but nothing spicy or greasy. I stopped mid-sentence, stunned. Had the sun risen in the west today? Not only did he check on my wound, he was now worried about my diet. He raised an eyebrow. What? Nothing. Jace, you're somehow even more handsome today. All I got in return were 2 cold laughs, worth a shot. There was a little food court near campus. By evening, it was packed with students. Steam rose from noodle stalls, and the chatter of 100 conversations filled the humid air. Following the keep it bland rule, we ended up at a soup and rice bowl place. He noticed me eyeing his bowl. What now? I want to try yours, Jace. I batted my eyelashes at him. He sighed. As he reached for a clean bowl to pour some into, my spoon was already diving into his pot. I scooped a huge helping and gave him a triumphant grin. Warm light filtered down from above. He stared at me, frozen for a moment. Then his lips curved. People with empty heads must be as happy as you are. I pretended to be offended, but his voice was softer than usual, almost fond. I wasn't sure if that counted as a date, but by the time I got back to my dorm, I was still floating. I threw myself onto my bed, and then noticed something. Jace, who never posted anything, had posted on social media. Just one photo of me. On our walk back, a stray dog kept nudging me. I'd crouched down to try to teach it to shake. He'd been standing right there, capturing the moment. Caption: dork. I grabbed my phone immediately, outraged and thrilled all at once. How am I a dork? Also, why'd you take a secret picture of me? I messaged him immediately. He replied almost instantly. I was calling the dog a dork, not you. Sure, he was. Or are you admitting you're the dork? That last one was a voice message, his tone lilting with amusement. I buried my face in my pillow. My heart raced for a long time. What I didn't expect was for that post to blow up. Someone from his school had posted on my school's confession page, asking who the mystery girl was that made their campus Heartthrob post for the first time ever. The betting pool odds shifted dramatically. Suddenly, people were putting money on my success. Then Wes texted me, asking if we were official. You're his roommate, wouldn't you know? Haha, I think Jace is starting to treat me like competition. You know what I mean? I had no idea what he meant. I just thought he was losing it over his bet. That day, I'd gone to Jace's campus looking for him, as usual. But halfway there, I got stopped by a group of girls. The leader was a tall girl with bleached blonde hair and a lip piercing. Her eyes were hard, her stance aggressive. You, Skyler? She stepped forward, looking down her nose at me. Nope. I shook my head fast, trying to edge around them. It was midday, and this path was pretty secluded. The trees cast long shadows, and I couldn't see anyone else around. A bad feeling crept up my spine. Don't lie, I have your picture right here. She grabbed my hoodie and yanked me back. She shoved her phone in my face. The photo was the one Jace had posted. I figured it out pretty quickly. Great. I knew Jace probably had admirers, but these were something else entirely. These weren't even college students. They looked like dropout delinquents. What's so funny? The leader tried to slap me. I dodged. She cursed at me. Hey, if you like Jace too, we can compete fair and square, right? I held up my hands, smiling at her. My heart was pounding, but I kept my voice steady. Compete? You think I'd compete with you? You have no idea who Jace Sullivan really is. Look, Jace isn't from your world. I'd back off if I were you. I thought of what I'd overheard. The guy with the scar. The threat. Touch her and I'll break every bone in your body. But I don't want to give up on him. I shook my head and stepped backward. Besides, how do you know I'm not from your world? She laughed. Please, you haven't seen. And that's when my hand found the fallen tree branch near the path. I grabbed it and swung. The fight was ugly. There were 3 of them and 1 of me. But I'd grown up with Wes in a neighborhood where knowing how to throw a punch was survival. I took hits. A lot of them. But I gave as good as I got. When it was over, I was standing. They weren't. My hands were shaking. My face stung. Blood was dripping from somewhere, my forehead, I thought. I looked at the 3 girls on the ground, groaning and clutching various body parts. Tell whoever sent you, I said, my voice steadier than I felt, that I'm not backing off. And next time, send more people. Then I walked away, my legs threatening to give out with every step. I made it around the corner before I had to lean against a wall, breathing hard. What had I just done? Ow, 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 ow. The sting of rubbing alcohol on open wounds was on a completely different level than antiseptic. Made me miss Jace and his gentle touch. Seriously, you got in another fight? Didn't you promise your mom you'd stop getting into trouble? Wes was crouched in front of me in his dorm room, dabbing at the cuts on my forehead. The lamp cast harsh shadows across his worried face. I held an ice pack to the bruise on my knee, the same knee I'd scraped before. Just my luck. There was no way I could go to the campus health center looking like this. They'd suspect a brawl and report it to the dean. So I just had Wes help me clean up the wounds I couldn't reach. I didn't start it. They came after me. I pouted, still annoyed. Wes paused, cotton swab hovering. Sky, how bad did you hurt them? I didn't answer. Sky, they're fine, probably. I didn't check. He stared at me, clearly unconvinced. He sighed heavily. This is why your mom made me promise to keep an eye on you. She what? You think I don't know about your juvie record? I stared at him. You never mentioned. Because it didn't matter. You were different back then. You've been different for years. He pressed harder on purpose. I yelped. Until now. What was that for? Why'd you go and get yourself all banged up? Look at your face. It's a mess. He held up a mirror. Sure enough, there were several visible cuts on my face. My lip was split. A bruise was blooming on my cheekbone. Jace is gonna think you're a disaster. As if to twist the knife, he added that. I'll just avoid him for a few days. I raked my fingers through my hair in frustration. Wes smirked. I knew that look all too well. A bad feeling crept over me, but I already told him you got jumped by some of his admirers. My jaw dropped. He didn't. When Jace showed up, his expression was dark. He grabbed my chin, almost roughly, and studied my face. His fingers trembled slightly against my skin. Who did this? You're worried about me. But I was still smiling at him, watching the anger build in his eyes. He narrowed his gaze. This isn't a joke. Who did this? Some girls. I don't know their names. Describe them. I thought about what that might lead to. Jace confronting them. Jace getting pulled back into whatever he'd walked away from. Jace, it's fine. I handled it. You handled. He stopped, looked at my hands, still bearing faint bruises on my knuckles. What do you mean you handled it? I shrugged. Something shifted in his expression. Not just anger anymore. Something like recognition. Skyler, what did you do? I defended myself. He was quiet for a long moment. Then he laughed a strange, hollow sound. You know what I was in high school? The question caught me off guard. What? I ran with a bad crowd. Really bad. The kind of people everyone in the area knew to call boss. He looked away. After my parents died, I didn't care about anything. I thought, if I couldn't protect them, what was the point? Jace. They were undercover cops. Both of them. They thought they could protect everyone. His voice cracked just barely. But they forgot they needed protecting too. I didn't know what to say. The pain in his voice was raw, unguarded. I don't want to be like that anymore, he said quietly. But people from that life keep finding me, and now they've found you. He immediately loosened his grip on my chin. His eyes dropped, and his thumb gently brushed the skin near my wound. After a long pause, he let out a strange laugh. Don't come looking for me anymore. Huh? Why? His sudden words caught me off guard. I stared at him, wide-eyed. I don't deserve it. And just like that, he walked away. Jace blocked me, and according to Wes, he'd been staying out all night lately. What is with this guy? When I finally got his phone number and called him, he heard my voice and immediately hung up, then blocked that too. I flopped back in my chair, frustrated. tugging at my hair. The weather had been terrible lately. Constant rain. My window was streaked with water, the sky an endless gray. I felt confused and inexplicably hurt, like I'd been dumped, which, technically, I had been. Every time I went to his campus to find him, he'd turn and walk away the second he saw me. Unlike before, this rejection was absolute. No room for argument. My friends started telling me to give up. Stop being a doormat. Even Wes said his $300 didn't matter, my happiness did. I think Jace's situation is complicated, you know? And honestly, he used to hang around some sketchy people. Maybe we should just find someone else? No way! I shook my head hard. Wes sighed, scratching his head. Yeah, I mean, sure. Jace's past isn't exactly squeaky clean. Wes seemed to come around. But you're not exactly a saint either. After all, those girls you fought, one has a broken arm. Another's got a concussion. I winced. I didn't mean to. I know. Wes looked at me steadily. But maybe you and Jace have more in common than either of you realized. I sat with that thought, turning it over in my mind. That night, I sat alone in my dorm room, staring at the ceiling. Maybe this was it. Maybe I should give up. He didn't want me. He'd made that clear. And chasing someone who was actively running away, that wasn't romantic. That was just pathetic. I thought about the first time I saw him, shirtless, water droplets trailing down his collarbone. I thought about him teaching me Python in the computer lab, his voice soft and patient. I thought about him crouching down to clean my wound, his hands so careful. I thought about him saying, "Touch her, and I'll break every bone in your body." He cared. I knew he did. But caring wasn't enough if he wouldn't let me in. Tomorrow, I decided. Tomorrow I would try one more time. And if he still pushed me away, I would finally let go. I did go to Jace's campus looking for him, but I didn't expect to run into him at the campus store. He was standing in front of a shelf, reaching for a beer. "Hey, Jace." I waved at him. He glanced at me, then looked away. His shoulders tensed. "Maybe go easy on the beer? I heard it's bad for your stomach. Thanks for letting me use your meal card yesterday. Even if you just left it on the table, I know you were worried I hadn't eaten." "Oh, hey, could you grab me a water bottle? I can't reach." A plastic bottle landed on top of my head. I finally stopped talking. I followed him to the checkout line. It was busy between classes. I stared at his back, memorizing the details I might never see again. Had his hair gotten longer? That pale stretch of neck was still unfairly attractive. Someone called out to me. "Hey, what are you doing here?" It was a guy holding an armful of snacks, wearing glasses. After a moment, I recognized him. He was in my campus club. Small world, and perfect timing. I sidled up to him, batting my eyelashes. "Why'd you skip the club dinner last night?" "Oh, I had class." He was clearly flustered by how close I was getting. Meanwhile, I kept sneaking glances at the guy ahead of me in line. Jace's profile was completely unreadable. Guess I needed to up my game. Was it really class? Or were you with your girlfriend? I don't have a girlfriend. You're this cute and you don't have a girlfriend? Come on, don't tease me. Well, what do you think of Memich? A hand clamped over my mouth. Jace pulled me into his chest, still holding me like that, and casually asked the cashier to ring up my stuff too. He gripped my wrist hard at first, then suddenly loosened, though he didn't let go. I was getting way too good at making him jealous. His irritation was written all over his face. Jace, wait, it's raining. Rain had been coming down out of nowhere lately. We barely made it halfway before a downpour hit. He pulled off his jacket, threw it over my head, and dragged me to the nearest covered bulletin board. The awning was just big enough to keep us dry. Rain hammered down all around us, turning the world into gray static. I touched the jacket covering my hair. It was already soaked. "I'll wash it before I give it back." "Whatever." He looked away. "Jace, are you jealous?" "Yes." I expected him to deflect. I didn't expect honesty. "Then, do you like me?" He slowly raised his head to look at me. Rain cascaded in his dark eyes like an inverted waterfall. "Yes." I dreamed of this moment so many times, Jace saying he liked me. But my heart had never pounded this hard. Then he yanked the jacket off my head. Rain kept pouring down around us, but under the awning, we were in our own small, dry world. "You want to say, then let's be together, right? Skyler, I admit it. I have feelings for you." He buttoned the top of my shirt back up, his fingers lingering against my collarbone. "But do you know what kind of people I used to run with? They'll come after you endlessly, just because you're my girlfriend. I've been trying so hard to push you away." Rain dripped from the boy's brow. He glared at me, like a deep, dark whirlpool. How much longer do you think I can hold out? Then don't. I nodded and reached up to cup his face. He froze at my sudden touch. I could feel his sharp jawline under my palms. His skin was cool from the rain. Jace, life has way too many disappointments already. He waited, silent, searching my face. I know about your parents. I know about the people you used to run with. I know you're trying to protect me. His eyes widened, but I'm not the kind of person who needs protecting. You saw my face after that fight. You know what I'm capable of. We're the same, Jace. Both trying to leave something behind. Both pretending we're normal. I dropped my hands and stepped back, forcing a smile. I want to be with you while I like you and you like me. I don't want to overthink it. If you don't want me today, I'll go. I won't look back. So think carefully. Maybe I'll start dating that guy from my club tomorrow, since you don't want me. He seemed to lose focus for a second. His voice was barely audible through the rain, hoarse and quiet. I'm really annoying. Oh yeah? Show me how annoying. I wasn't always a good person. What a coincidence. Neither was I. I'm super possessive. I'm okay with being possessed. I'm really clingy. How clingy are we, talk He pulled me in by the waist. His dark eyes were wet, and something about him felt different, lighter, like a weight had finally lifted. He tilted my chin up and leaned down to kiss me. Don't say I didn't warn you. At first, I didn't understand what he meant by clingy. Then I figured it out. It meant that whenever I wasn't paying attention to him, he'd fix me with those deep black eyes, looking very displeased. Friday's last class was a general lecture. I was slumped over my desk, stifling a yawn. Someone gently ruffled my hair. Jace had come to find me again. And by again, I mean he'd already shown up 3 or 4 times this week. More often than I used to show up at his campus. These tiered lecture hall seats were probably murder on his long legs. He noticed me staring and narrowed his eyes. What? Nothing. Just admiring the view. Jace, how are you so good looking? He leaned in suddenly, so close I could count his eyelashes. I can give you a private viewing anytime. I blinked, completely caught off guard. When did he become like this? The professor was an older woman who seemed to be in a bad mood today. She'd taken attendance and kept cold calling students. Not great news for Jace, who was auditing without a textbook. But he didn't seem to care, propped on his elbow scrolling his phone. And naturally, he got called on. I nudged him. He stood up slowly. I figured he'd been too distracted to hear the question. But apparently, he knew the answer. He beckoned me closer. I didn't understand why. When I didn't move, he just pressed me between himself and the desk and started reading the answer off my book. Some of the words were too small, so he had to lean in. He was practically whispering in my ear, his breath warm against my skin. My heart nearly burst out of my chest. Thankfully, he got it right, and the professor quickly told him to sit. I looked at his profile. He seemed completely unbothered. I wrote a note and slid it over. Did you get that close on purpose? He raised an eyebrow, spent a while writing something, then slid it back. A little pig drawing, just like the one I doodled the first time we met. He gestured for me to flip it over. On the back, in his always perfect handwriting, the little pig wants to know, can Jace invite you to dinner at his place tonight? Getting to Jace's place meant 7 bus stops. Rush hour meant the bus was packed. I didn't even have to move. The crowd pushed me right into him. He casually wrapped an arm around my waist. I used to take this bus home in high school. He murmured it softly near my ear. The sunset was melting into the city skyline. The swaying bus made you want to write something down. But there was no nostalgia in his eyes. I could picture it, the boy with bruises, sitting by the window, evening wind lifting his hair. Probably always alone, always pushing people away, watching the scenery pass, day after day. Jace's home was a small house with a yard. No one else lived there. Not much sign of life, either. A few old items hinted at the house's age. Dust motes floated in the slanting evening light. I sat stiffly on the couch. He pulled a beer from the fridge and handed it to me. Drink this for now. I'll make dinner. I stared at him, incredulous. Does your house only have beer? He watched me for a moment, then laughed. Sitting that straight? Want me to get you a suit jacket? I relaxed slightly, smiling despite myself. Jace told me no one had lived here for a long time. It was the last thing his parents left him. I didn't need to feel like a guest. He said it so casually. But I noticed the photos on the mantle, a young Jace with 2 adults in police uniforms, all 3 of them smiling. They would have liked you, he said quietly, following my gaze. They always said I needed someone who could keep up with me. Jace. I wish I'd met you sooner. He blinked, smiled at me, said nothing, but handed me another beer. I took it. After he teased me with, "Oh, that's all you can handle?" I decided right then I was going to drink him under the table. We barely touched the food. The beers just kept coming. Wait, Jace, are you trying to get me drunk on purpose? I pressed a hand to my forehead, barely realizing. He raised an eyebrow, his throat bobbing as he swallowed. Beer's not that strong. You're imagining things. Really? I nodded, believing him. But my vision was blurring, and I couldn't stand straight. He caught me and pulled me into his arms. I didn't want you to see who I used to be. He spoke into my ear. His breath was warm and ticklish. I felt myself being lifted, and my gaze landed on the scattered beer cans on the table. One more. I raised my hand. Then I was gently placed on the couch, a pillow tucked under my head. Much better. He sat beside me. Dizzy? Yeah. Honestly, I was seeing double. What's 1 + 1? 2. You think I'm dumb? I grinned and tried to nudge him with my foot. He caught my ankle. Skyler, I'm older than you. Did your mom ever tell you to listen to your elders? So will you listen to me? I guess so. Don't get into fights over me, even if you can win. Got it? I set you as my emergency contact. You can call me anytime, no matter what. You can drink, but you'll get drunk sometimes. So don't let anyone else do what I just did. He ruffled my hair. I stared at him blankly. Did you hear me? He narrowed his eyes. I gazed into them dark and deep and saw my own slightly dazed reflection. I threw my arms around his neck. He froze. Jace, heh, you smell really nice. He let out a long breath, clearly exasperated. Did you hear anything I just said? He sighed, propping my head up. I was so drowsy I could barely keep my eyes open. Hello? You asleep already? His voice was right by my ear, but I was too lazy to open my eyes. Fine, you little idiot. You really think I'm a gentleman, huh? Fabric rustled. He picked me up again and carried me upstairs. Somewhere in my foggy brain, a war was raging. Isn't this how it always goes in movies? After drinking, the leads. This was the perfect setup time, place, everything. Was Jace going to... He rolled me up in a blanket like a burrito. Unbelievable. I was equal parts relieved and disappointed. I know you're not really asleep, dummy. He flicked my nose. Maybe it was a test. I kept pretending. Fine, I'll tell you something. His voice came soft beside me. That day you asked if I was crazy about you, and I walked away. It wasn't because I hated you. It was because I realized I did like you, and that playing hard to get made you keep chasing me. But I'm never walking away again. I'll stay with you, always. Epilogue, 3 months later. Wes, stop crying. I'm not crying, I'm just emotionally moved by my investment returns. He clutched his $300 plus the winnings from the betting pool to his chest. Jace and I exchanged a look. You know, Jace said, I found out about the betting pool 2 weeks in. Wes froze. You. What? Did you really think I wouldn't notice half the campus whispering every time Skyler showed up? Then why didn't you... Because Jace's lips curved. The odds were so bad, I figured I should let you suffer a little longer before I made you rich. Wes looked like he didn't know whether to laugh or cry. I pulled out my phone and showed him the screen. Also, Jace bet against himself under a fake account. We split the profits. You what? Jace wrapped an arm around my shoulders, looking entirely too pleased with himself. Consider it payback for the $15 you skimmed when you introduced us. Wes sputtered, completely speechless. I couldn't help but laugh. This was too perfect. Some things never change, but some things do, and I wouldn't trade any of it. The end.